March 23, 2009, at Guangzhou Baiyun International Airport, China, a large FedEx cargo aircraft was preparing for an early morning flight. The flight, designated as FX-80, was scheduled to depart from Guangzhou, China, and arrive in Tokyo, Japan, covering a flight distance of 3,173 kilometers with an estimated duration of approximately 5 hours. The captain, Mr. Kevin 21 Lee, aged 54, had accumulated 12,800 hours of flight experience, including 3,648 hours on the MD-11 aircraft. A former combat pilot of the United States Marine Corps, Captain Kevin had been working for FedEx since July 1, 1996. He had a passion for aviation from an early age, earning his first private pilot's license at the age of 16. Additionally, Captain Kevin was an enthusiastic fighter pilot on the F-4 Phantom. The first officer, Mr. Anthony Tofino, aged 49, had 6,300 hours of flight experience, with 879 hours logged on the MD-11. Anthony was a former pilot of the C-5 Galaxy in the United States Air Force and joined FedEx in 2006. He began his military aviation career at the age of 23 and participated in the Gulf War. Anthony was known for his sense of humor and reliability. The total weight of Flight FX-80 was 183, 8 tons. The cargo hold contained over 400 kg of flammable liquids, including polysinazan and ethanol. Our flight was operating at 84 capacity. The McDonnell Douglas MD-11 aircraft, registered as N5226C, was manufactured in 1994 for passenger transport, but was later acquired by NASA for experimental purposes. In 2004, FedEx reacquired the aircraft when NASA decided to sell it. Over its 15 years of operation, the aircraft had accumulated nearly 41,000 flight hours. More than 4 hours after takeoff, Flight FX-80 was flying steadily at an altitude of 33,000 feet. At this point, the aircraft was in Japanese airspace and preparing to descend. The flight crew requested permission from air traffic control to land on runway 34A at Narita International Airport and received approval. FedEx is the world's largest cargo transportation company, with an extensive network of flight routes delivering goods to over 375 destinations in more than 220 countries worldwide. That's instructed Flight FX-80 to descend to an altitude of 10,000 feet. To begin the landing process, the aircraft continued to decrease altitude after reaching 10,000 feet. However, the weather conditions had the pilots deeply concerned. The wind was blowing from 320 degrees, which meant it was coming from the tail of the aircraft. Tailwinds are extremely dangerous for any flight. Furthermore, the wind speed was ranging from 48 to 74 kilometers per hour, with gusty winds making the situation even more precarious. Landing a large aircraft is already a challenging task due to the rear engine design, and the MD-11 is one of the most difficult planes to land because of its engine placement, which can cause instability at low speeds. Captain Kevin Kermode was in control, and the first officer was responsible for communication. As they approached the airport, maintaining balance became difficult due to the presence of gusty winds. The captain used the auto throttle to control the aircraft's speed during the landing. In practice, autothrottle is not supposed to be used in strong winds because the computer cannot maintain the correct speed in constantly changing wind conditions. The landing speed for 480 was 164 knots, but the autothrottle was set to keep the plane in the range of 160 to 185 knots, which was faster than usual. Despite flying faster than normal and struggling to maintain control, the flight crew remained determined to land without waiting for the weather to improve. High speed and poor control, the aircraft touched down quite forcefully and was pushed upward after the initial touchdown. The aircraft continued to make a hard landing. After 3 landing attempts, the MD-11 aircraft turned into a massive fireball. Both members of the flight crew lost their lives. Rote Airport had to be closed for several hours. Thousands of flights on that day were either canceled or rerouted. The Japan Civil Aviation Bureau initiated an investigation into the accident, which had multiple contributing factors. Firstly, the adverse weather conditions played a significant role. Else due to its proximity to the sea, Narita Airport experiences strong winds. Secondly, a mistake was made by the flight crew as the pilot used autothrottle to control speed in strong winds. This action was in direct contradiction to the aircraft's computer systems, which couldn't properly adjust the speed, leading to an excessive landing speed. The aircraft touched down at a speed of 182 knots, equivalent to 337 kilometers per hour, while the safe landing speed was 302 kilometers per hour. Both crew members also had health issues, with the first officer suffering from severe back pain and the captain experiencing sleep deprivation, which led him to rely on sleeping medication for an extended period. The landing sequence of FX-80 unfolded as follows. The aircraft was flying at an excessive speed, leading to a loss of control in the descent. The initial touchdown was forceful, causing the aircraft to bounce up for the first time. However, in that brief moment, both pilots failed to realize that the aircraft had bounced. They pushed the control column as usual, causing the plane to descend a second time with a descent rate of 1,200 feet per minute. The aircraft was once again pushed up, and the third landing attempt proved catastrophic. The left wing's landing gear assembly broke. The plane made contact with the ground, resulting in a fiery, fuel-fed blaze. All investigators noted that this wasn't the first time an MD-11 had experienced a severe incident like this. In 1997, an MD-11 operating flight X-14, also owned by FedEx, had a nearly identical accident with a similar landing attitude and conditions as X-80. The investigations revealed multiple design anomalies in the MD-11, while the landing gear was designed to break in a way that minimizes damage. Both incidents, it was the landing gear that initiated the chain of disasters. The MD-11 was identified as an unsafe aircraft with high fuel consumption rates, leading it to be a commercial failure. Singapore Airlines and American Airlines withdrew the MD-11 from their fleets just 2 months after its introduction. Today, the MD-11 is only used for cargo transport.